I'll call to order this regular meeting of the San Bernardino International Airport Authority Board. At this time, we are going to, just a general announcement, we will be having our open session calendar for those in our audience, page number 4. We'll have our open session calendar first and then recess into closed session so as to not, allow for all of the public comments that would like to address the board. So at this time, with that caveat and exception, I will ask our supervisor, Supervisor Don Rowe, to begin this meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand and join me in salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Supervisor Rowe. Item number E, items to be added or deleted. Mr. Gibbs, are there any items?
There are no items to be added or deleted from the agenda.
Very good, thank you. Item number F, conflict of interest disclosure. Are there any members who wishing to note their conflicts? Seeing none, we'll move on to item G, informational items. At this time, informational items with our Executive Director's report. Mr. Gibbs.
We do have one informational item, and that is the air show combination. Wanted to let everyone know that we're, unfortunately, Ms. Pritchett is away from the auditorium today, but we're happy to announce that we've combined air shows with Hangar 24, and instead of having our show in November, the combined show will take place on May 30th and May 31st of 2020. So we're very pleased to partner with a long-established show to the benefit of both agencies and the surrounding community. It should be a great event, and we're excited to work with them. Ms. Pritchett had a personnel update, and it was for the position of Director of Business Development and Director of Finance. Interviews are ongoing with the Director of Finance position. We do have several qualified candidates, and as Ms. Pritchett gets settled in, she can give you the latest and greatest update on the position of Director of Business Development. Your timing is amazing.
Good afternoon. Thank you. The Director of Business Development position, as we know, has been filled. Our candidate had some unforeseen situations still in his hometown, and we have allowed him some time to take care of some personal matters. We anticipate Cortez starting with us potentially the first part of April is what the start date is at this time. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pritchett.
In addition, Mayor, if I could.
Yes.
On one other matter, and we did report this to the IVDA board, but it is with a heavy heart that we did have to announce the passing of one of our maintenance team members, Jose Moreno. Jose passed away at his home 2 weeks ago, and we are working with his family on all of the benefits that we can offer the family during their time at this point. But we just wanted to convey that to the commission and give our heartfelt, prayers and thoughts to the family.
Thank you very much, and if you would, on behalf of this board, also send our condolences to the family, and we thank you, Ms. Pritchett. Moving on to item number C, aircraft rescue and firefighting apparatus. We do have one public speaker, Mr. Grigoli. Would you like to speak on this item, sir?
Mr. Mayor, before we move forward,
yes,
if I may, close the meeting in memory of the gentleman that worked here for so long.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Grigoli? Mr. Grigoli has a request to speak on the item of firefighting apparatus. Sir?
Board, thank you for letting me come. I came 2 weeks ago to speak at the IVDA about the status of the firefighting equipment, and I gave a presentation there. And we'll go through the packet again that I presented to them. And they asked me to come speak here to this board also. So the status of our rigs that we have in place, again, if you look at the first page, that's red 6. It was bought for parts. For a replacement parts for basically red 10, or excuse me, yeah, red 10, and that was purchased from the Victorville. That unit is out of service and it's just used for parts. We have red 8 there, We have the primary rig, which is Red 9. That was out of service when I spoke 2 weeks ago. It was just placed back in service. Again, that's a year 2000 was the last time anything was purchased for the airport regarding a crash rig. And then the other frontline rig is Red 10. It's a 1974. That just recently went out of service with some major repairs in line, and that will be, so we're back to using the borrowed rig that we borrowed from Ontario Airport, which is a 1984 rig that we borrowed from them. They just took inventory of 5 new, brand new ARF rigs for their facility over at Ontario Airport. What I'm here to discuss really quick is the status of, we were lucky enough with the County Fire Department to serve the San Bernardino International Airport with 2 of our firefighters here daily. It's an honor and privilege to serve the airport. Our personnel take pride in serving the airport. But I wanted to talk about the safety of when you're driving around in a 46-year-old fire rig, for God forbid, for anything actually happening at the airport, an incident actually happening. The technology, the equipment, the ability for it to function in a proper manner is just not there when you're driving around a 46-year-old rig. We live, like I spoke at the IVDA, I live in a world where I work for the County Fire Department today. We set aside money every year for replacement of our fire engines every 10 years. So money goes aside for whatever is going to cost every year to turn around. The actual replacement, recommended replacement for ARF rigs is every 12 years. At the present time, your newest piece of equipment is a 2000, so it's already been 20 years with nothing set aside, and the second line rig is 46 years old. Now, we still do have a ARF rig that serves as the, for our ARF facility over there, and that's a 2002, I believe, and that serves to train people over at the ARF facility. So when it's being used over there, it doesn't have access to the airport to serve the airport in case of an incident and when planes are landing. Speaking for the safety of the firefighters that I represent, and it's an honor again to serve the airport, there has to be better planning. There's grants available. Ontario, which was able to secure a couple of grants, but they also were able to afford to get a few new rigs too. But there has to be better planning for the equipment here. The County Fire Department, while it repairs the rigs, it's not responsible for the replacement. And I don't know actually who is, whether it's IVDA or whether it's this board, but I just wanted to take a few minutes to speak. So thank you for your time. I truly appreciate it, and thanks for letting us serve you.
Thank you, Mr. Grigoli. At our last IVDA meeting, there was discussions regarding this, and know that this board is very concerned about the replacement process, and we'll be working with our staff to address some of those concerns that you have and have expressed, and we really do appreciate your comments here this afternoon. With that, let's go into item number C, which is aircraft rescue apparatus. And Mr. Burrows.
Apologies for my tardiness, folks. Yes, so on that point, 2 initiatives we've had underway. Again, the ARF apparatus is an airport piece of equipment. So historically, IVDA has not funded those types of things. It's been through the airport, and most traditionally, it's the FAA. So the original equipment that we've had at the training center and even at our fire station were through FAA-funded grant programs. And so for the past 10 years, we have had top priority funding for a truck. The reality is it takes quite a bit of time to get a truck, and FAA's national priorities are balanced between the equipment itself versus the actual aircraft pavement, runways, movement areas, taxiways, and pavements take priority, unfortunately. So we've been looking at creative ways to source new equipment. So last year, this body approved a consolidation of a number of Unical lease agreements into one. Included in that was a commitment from Unical to help us fund a new ARF truck. They are in the final procurement stage of that. Mr. Gibbs and I had a good discussion with them yesterday, and we believe they're going to be able to source an additional, it's used, but it's a lot newer than 1974, piece of equipment to get it on the ground now. Does that get us where we need to be? No. That's why our team today met with the regional representative from Oshkosh. That is our Made in America leader in ARF apparatus, and they are trying to source an additional rig for the airport and the training center. We should have a quote back from them by the first of next week, and I've been in communication with Chief Muncie on this very issue, and we think we might be able to get some additional funding for that while not having to wait on FAA grants. Even though we still want them, we need to be able to get the equipment here quickly. So that's our most recent report. You can see these are not ladder trucks. These are specialty aircraft rescue and firefighting rigs. We need specially trained and qualified individuals, such as County Fire has given us all these years. But it is quite a bit of wear and tear on it, and we need to be able to make sure we got that redundancy. Thankfully, through the Ontario Airport, we've been able to source some equipment on loan where we've needed it. So we really thank our airport partners out there, as well as Southern California Logistics Airport. They've been very helpful. But we got to be able to solve our own issues, and I think by your next commission meeting, we'll have some very positive results. But we're not slowing down. We want to make sure we get this addressed.
Thank you very much. Mr. Burrows, that's an excellent report, and that's good feedback on that. Are there any questions or comments from board members on that? All right. Let's move on to our commission consent calendar items. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
A second.
All right. And if the clerk would call the roll.
Member Navarro,
Yes.
Member Popescu. Here. Member Rao,
Yes.
Member Lilburn,
Yes.
Member Valdivia,
Yes.
Member Sanchez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item I, commission action items. Number 7 is to consider and adopt the proposed budget adjustments for the fiscal year 2019 to 20, and that's our staff.
Okay.
Thank you.
I may start it and then have Alka fix anything I messed up. So what we have here is a mid-year look back as to some additional revenues and some expenses that we need to recognize. At the revenue line item, you have, obviously, we announced a few weeks ago that Ms. Pritchett was successful in addressing a team effort towards air shows this year, combining the very successful Hangar 24 Air Fest with our SBD Fest. I don't know that she's slept ever since, but that does create the ability to share not only revenues but expenses. So the top line there is to recognize a new air show revenue item. And then with our completion of our Hillwood ground lease, there is an advance payment of $2.6 million on the revenue line. And then what we have there are some offsetting expenses in just general fund items where we need minor adjustments. And then you have the expenditure adjustments for the air show, which include a revenue split with Hangar 24. So we have to actually book some initial expenses, as we have in years past. And then after we reconcile the revenues, then 50-50, the expenses get divided up, and then the revenues get divided up. So the second air show item there is actually to fund the anticipated profit split with Hangar 24. So I know it looks a little unusual there. And then we have some miscellaneous adjustments on equipment and uniforms. So with that, we will take any questions.
Okay, very good. Commission members, if we have any questions on item number 7, this is a receive and file.
We'll need an actual motion and.
Okay. Is there a motion for approval?
Chair. I just wanted to state that the Finance Committee reviewed this prior to this meeting.
Very good. Motion for approval? The second? All right, very good. If clerk would call the roll, please.
Can you repeat the motion, please? Was that from Member Sanchez? Oh, Navarro. Oh, thank you. All right. Member Navarro,
Yes.
Member Popescu,
Yes.
Member Rao,
Yes.
Member Lilburn,
Yes.
Member Valdivia,
Yes.
and Member Sanchez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good. Moving on to item number 8, approve the award of contract to AC Mechanical Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $223,000 for preventative maintenance of heating ventilation systems for the International Airport-owned buildings. Mr. Person.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor. So this item before you is to approve the contract with AC Mechanical to provide preventative maintenance services for our HVAC on SBIAA-owned buildings. Staff conducted an RFP along with the SBIAA purchasing policy. 5 companies attended the job walk and 4 submitted bids by the due date, of which 1 was slightly late, so we had to rule them non-responsive, so we had 3 competitive bids. The lowest bidder, providing the best cost, was AC Mechanical. It is at an average $51,478 per year. It is a 3-year agreement with a 1-year agreement with 2 one-year extensions. So it provides maximum flexibility for SBIAA moving forward. So staff requests that the commission approve this and allow executive director to execute all related documents. Thank you.
Very good. Any questions from the board? Not, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Is there a second?
It's expensive, but I'll second.
All right, and any other final questions? If not, clerk will call the roll, please.
Member Navarro,
Yes.
Member Popescu,
Yes.
Member Rao,
Yes.
Member Lilburn,
Yes.
Member Valdivia,
Yes.
and Member Sanchez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 9 is review the status of the action plan for the San Bernardino International Airport. Mr. Burrows.
So in the month of February here, thank you, mid-year budget adjustments are in. International trade, we happily have been invited to host the World Trade Week Conference again. This year, we're going to move it to the Doubletree Hotel in the great city of San Bernardino. And the Department of Commerce is eternally grateful for this continued support. In addition, Nick and his team also have an FAA compliance trigger this month, and that is conducting an emergency tabletop exercise, which they have done quite well. So we're up to par and in compliance and ready to move on for the rest of the year. That concludes my report.
Very good. Do we have a date on the International Trade Convention?
May 7th, and
May
we'll be
7th.
sending an invite and save the date out this week. So that's what I was just with. The Assistant Secretary said yes.
Very good. Thank you. Great work. All right. Item J, wait, hold on. I think I'm wrong here. Added and deferred items. Seeing none, moving on to open session. Are there any members of the public wishing to address the commission? Public comments? All right, moving on to commission member comments. If not, we'll adjourn our open session, and this time, we thank the public for attending. You're welcome to stay, but we will be recessing in a closed session. Thank you. Mr. Burrows, I'll hand it over to you, sir.
Yeah, on behalf of council, I will state that there was no reportable action taken in closed session.
Very good. We appreciate the attendance of our public, and we thank you. This meeting is adjourned.